Sick? Why don't you just stay in the hospital then?
Over the phone, my husband uttered cruel words. My voice trembled at his response, something I hadn't imagined. What are you talking about?
I don't need a sick wife. In fact, you should be grateful that I stayed with you this long.
My husband left me, a sick woman, and went on a trip with his mistress. At that moment, all the trust I had built up in my husband came crashing down. I can't believe it. He went on a trip with his mistress, leaving his sick wife. Enough is enough. I won't hold back anymore. If it comes to this, I will take revenge by any means necessary. My name is Emma, 28 years old. I've been married to my husband, Jason, for over 2 years. Our meeting place was a cafe where I used to work. He, a regular customer, started talking to me, and it led to dating. After about a year of dating, we made it to the finish line. I lost my parents when I was in the 9th grade. All that was left were my parents' house and the inheritance from my father, who was a businessman. Thanks to that inheritance, I was able to go to university. I owe my current life to my parents, and I am grateful, but losing both parents at once left me with immeasurable emotional scars. The fear of losing someone important to me again haunted me. I fell into baseless anxiety, almost leading to misanthropy. During my relationship with Jason, I expressed my anxieties many times. He was the one who accepted me in that state. During his proposal, he said this:
I'm not going anywhere, and I'll always protect you. So, I want you to marry me.
But I don't have a family.
I'll become your family, Emma.
Huh?
As your family, I'll be with you forever. I won't let you feel lonely again.
Jason. Believing his words, I decided to marry him. After marriage, we decided to live together in my parents' house where I had been living. Living with him after being alone for so long, our married life was blindingly happy. After getting married, he stopped working overtime and always came straight home. It became normal for us to have dinner together. And we would often watch movies slowly before bed. We had such fun days. However, after a year of marriage, my husband suddenly started working overtime more often. Though there had been almost no overtime until then, it gradually increased to once or twice a week. And finally, most of the week was filled with his overtime. 2 months later, business trips were added, drastically reducing our time as a couple. Eating dinner alone became a daily routine. At first, I endured it, but unable to bear the sudden change in life, I decided to express my feelings to my husband. Hey, Jason, don't you think you've been working overtime a lot recently?
Sorry about that. Work has been piling up lately, haha.
But you didn't have much overtime a few months ago. Plus, there was that business trip the other day.
I'm working hard for you, Emma. It's kind of a shock to hear you say that.
I'm sorry. Feeling afraid of my husband's intimidating tone, I immediately apologized. Then he quickly returned to his usual demeanor and smiled, saying, I'm glad you understand. Should I be the one to endure it after all? Jason is working hard every day for our married life. I should have been more skeptical, but at that time, I didn't have the courage. For me, who had lost my family, Jason was the only family I had. I didn't want to lose my precious family again. Because of these thoughts, I couldn't question him any further. Several months after that, That day, Jason came home in a state of inebriation like never before. He didn't react at all to my greeting of welcome home, and went straight to bed, falling asleep in his suit. Why? He said he had to work overtime today. A sense of anxiety that can't be put into words overcomes me. And why is he drunk? Didn't he have to work overtime? What has he really been doing, and where until now? There are so many things I want to ask. However, not wanting to damage my relationship with my husband, I've been turning a blind eye to it. Glancing at my husband, who is comfortably asleep in bed, I notice his smartphone has slipped out of his pocket. Could he be hiding something from me? Such suspicion crosses my mind. Before I know it, I'm secretly holding my husband's smartphone. I unlock it using his fingerprint while he's asleep. The screen that opens is filled with chats from his affair partner. Thanks to you, Jason, I had fun today. Thank you. When can we meet next? Please leave your wife soon and be with me. In the photo album, there were tons of selfies with a woman who seemed to be his affair partner. Some of them were quite explicit, and I felt nauseous. Still holding my husband's smartphone, I rushed to the bathroom to catch my breath. Somehow I managed to keep my sanity, but it was too much for me to handle alone. That's when I thought of my best friend from high school, Sarah, who now lives overseas. She's very smart and is currently working overseas after studying abroad in college. When I called her internationally, she answered after a few rings, saying hello. Sarah, what should I do? I might not be able to handle this. I told her this while crying.
What? Wait, Emma. What's going on?
My husband, Jason, he's been cheating on me.
What? Cheating?
I explained the whole situation to Sarah. The sudden increase in overtime and business trips after a year of marriage. Coming home drunk even though he said he was working overtime. And seeing his smartphone, which held proof of his infidelity. Sarah listened quietly as I explained, interspersing my words with sobs. Then, after I finished talking, she said to me,
Emma, listen to me. I know it's hard right now, but I think it's best to gather solid evidence of his infidelity for the future.
Evidence? But that means divorce.
Then what? Emma, do you want to spend your entire life with a man who cheats?
That is...
I know you value your family, Emma. But can a person who makes you unhappy really be considered family?
Sarah, her words finally woke me up. Come to think of it, I had been swallowing everything my husband said. The sudden frequency of overtime and business trips, if I thought about it, was strange. Out of a desperate fear of losing him, I had been averting my eyes from reality. With Sarah's advice, I decided to take steps toward divorcing Jason. First, I transferred all the evidence of his infidelity left on his smartphone to mine. Sarah introduced me to a lawyer she knew, and under their advice, I dedicated myself to collecting evidence. Following my husband, periodically checking his smartphone. Collecting evidence while juggling work and household chores was truly difficult. As I was shaving off sleep time, my body was on the verge of collapse, and I almost fainted many times. After going through such hardships, several months later, I gathered a substantial amount of evidence of his infidelity. With this much evidence, I should be able to get a favorable divorce. Finally, my efforts were about to pay off. Just when I thought so, I collapsed at work and was taken to the hospital. I thought it was just exhaustion, but the medical tests revealed a certain illness. I ended up being hospitalized. I had all the evidence and was ready to proceed, but then I fell ill. There's nothing to be done about it. I called my husband to tell him about it. Jason, do you have a moment?
What? Didn't I tell you I'd be on a business trip for a while?
Actually, I collapsed at work. It looks like I'll need to be hospitalized for a while.
So,
So, is that all you have to say?
you're going to be hospitalized, right? That means you'll be safe in the hospital, huh?
By this time, my husband no longer had any interest in me and was meeting his mistress every day. His treatment of me had become so careless that I thought he was practically confessing. And of course, my feelings for him had completely cooled. I lost my patience with him for showing no signs of worry at all, and I couldn't help but ask, "Do you think it's lucky that I'm hospitalized?"
What's with you all of a sudden? I don't have time for this.
But it's true, isn't it? You're not on a business trip today. You're going on a trip with your mistress.
What? How did you?
It's obvious. Did you actually think you were getting away with it? I expected him to deny it, but surprisingly, my husband easily admitted to his affair. Whether he thought he was already busted and decided to be defiant, his attitude suddenly changed.
Yeah, that's right. I'm having an affair. Got a problem with that.
Sigh. You have some nerve, after all the lies you've told me.
It's your fault for being deceived, right? Why don't you just stay in the hospital forever, huh?
What? What are you saying?
I don't need a sick wife. You should be thankful I'd been with you all this time, huh?
At that moment, all my emotions were dyed with anger towards my husband. Thankful. This isn't the married life I wanted. How dare he? I'll make him regret this. I will never forgive you, Jason. I suppressed my desire to shout and informed my husband, feigning calmness. However, he responded provocatively.
Go ahead, do whatever you want. You can't divorce me anyway.
Why do you think so?
Because that's the way it is, right? For you, I'm your only family. If you lose me now, you'll be alone again, won't you? You okay with that?
Family, huh?
If you behave, we can continue to be a family. So, with that said, I'm going to enjoy my trip with my honey. You enjoy your hospital life too.
Saying so, my husband hung up the phone one-sidedly. At that moment, I heard a cloying woman's voice saying, "Are you still there?" from the phone. Probably, he no longer cares about hiding it. He thinks that even if he is caught cheating, I won't take the step towards divorce. Don't mock me. If he thinks I can be easily deceived just because he uses the word family, he's terribly mistaken. If he has such intentions, I have my farts too. As I was bracing myself, I received a phone call from Sarah at a good timing. I promptly explained the content of the previous conversation to her. So, it seems Jason thinks I can't divorce him.
What? How dare he underestimate you like that?
I know, right? Well, I plan to divorce him, but the main problem is what to do after the divorce.
What do you mean?
You see, Sarah, you know? The house I'm living in now is my own. So even if I divorce him, I don't know if he'll leave immediately. And he knows the address, so he might come back.
I see.
Sarah thought for a moment, then said happily, "That's it."
Hey, Emma. I have a good idea.
Huh? The idea that came out of her mouth made my eyes widen. But now, I have no time to hesitate. I accepted her proposal and decided to proceed with the plan while being hospitalized. A few days later, today, Jason is coming back from his trip with his mistress. Having already been discharged from the hospital, I was anxiously waiting for his reaction. As expected, I got a call from Jason in the afternoon. "Hello?" As I answered the phone nonchalantly, he began to shout angrily as soon as he opened his mouth.
Hey, what the hell is this?
"What do you mean? What is it?"
Our house. All the stuff except mine is gone.
"Yeah, that's right. What about it?"
What? Where are all the furniture and appliances? Don't tell me you sold them to spite me.
"Of course not. I've moved them to my new place."
Huh, new place.
He seemed quite surprised by the word new place. He probably didn't have the idea of me moving out on my own in his mind. Jason continued to blame me in a strong tone.
Don't be ridiculous. Moving out on your own. We need to talk. Tell me the address.
"Huh? No way."
What? Are you okay with me not coming back?
"Yeah, I'm fine.
What?
I don't want to see you anymore, so I moved out without telling you. Oh, by the way, I've already sold that house. Please get your stuff out within this month."
What? What are you saying?
"Don't you get it? I'm saying, let's get a divorce." I finally confronted him with a divorce. He seemed quite confused, repeating unintelligible words over the phone. Whether he was upset about me bringing up divorce or not, he soon began to lecture me arrogantly.
Do you know what you're saying? Divorce means you lose your family.
"I know that, but we weren't a family anymore, right?"
Don't mess with me. I've always been with you as a family, as a husband. If you insist on divorcing, give me property.
"Huh? Property? Do you even understand your situation? You're the one who should be paying the division of property."
What?
"It's not what, you know? Just to let you know, I've gathered more than enough evidence of your infidelity. Of course, I'll tell your mistress everything." The voice of my husband on the other end of the line grew increasingly quieter, and I could sense his anxiety through the phone. Realizing that he was the one being asked to pay the division of property, he seemed frightened and his attitude suddenly changed, starting to plead with me.
Wait! It was my fault.
"Yes."
I'll break up with her. I'll make it work as a couple with Emma. So, please, spare me from the division of property.
My husband repeatedly pleaded with me pathetically. Each time he did, my feelings for him cooled down and gradually turned into irritation. As if to completely cut off all my feelings for him, I exclaimed loudly, "Enough. You cheated on me over and over and made a fool of me, and now you say forgive me? Don't mess with me. I don't consider you my family anymore. A man who cheats leaving his sick wife behind. I don't need you."
Emma, please, listen to me. You don't want to be alone, do you?
Why should I care about what you have to say? Your excuses aren't even worth listening to. I'm not going to depend on you anymore. I don't need a family like you. Fall to hell with your mistress. I hung up the phone unilaterally and blocked his contact. From then on, all my dealings with him were handled by the lawyer I had been using for some time. Even my husband, who was initially reluctant to divorce, was scared by the lawyer's divorce mediation and finally agreed to divorce quietly. I demanded a lump sum of division of property from him. whether he had told her that it will never be found out. The mistress was outraged by his lie, and she ended her relationship with Jason. As she was a junior at the company, the topic of my ex-husband's infidelity became a hot topic within the company. Unable to bear it, he voluntarily quit his job. All that was left for Jason was debt. Even when he asked his parents for help, they promptly disowned him. He's now struggling to repay his debts, working multiple part-time jobs as he can't find a new full-time job. On the other hand, I've started a fresh new life. As my ex-husband knew about the cafe I used to work at, I submitted a request for a transfer and am now working at a different branch. I can't thank Sarah enough for this proposal. She's coming back to the country for a while soon, and I plan to thank her properly then. I've decided to stop being trapped by the word family. From now on, I want to cherish those who take care of me, just as they do me.